over the last couple of months. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a little bit of a warm-up lap. I'm not going to do anything crazier than I'm going to just read the description of this event, just so you have a little bit of a warm-up to what you can expect. But really what the team is going to do today, what Chris and Fenella are going to do is they're going to introduce us to what's your purpose, which is the proven step-by-step brand development toolkit that their team has developed for organizations to create their own brand definition and marketing strategy in-house. And I'm going off script here by saying that I work in communications and branding. I find what they have developed to be incredibly helpful. From a brand perspective, I think purpose is the foundation of any strong brand. I think people who think it's too woo-woo or don't think it matters, they're missing the fact that purpose gives meaning to what the brand does. And so when a brand and when people are rooted in a purpose, it builds all the good things like trust and loyalty and a consistent experience for those who are experiencing your brand. So I think our team treats it as kind of the North Star. And so I'm excited that Chris and Fenella are going to introduce it to us today. So Chris and Fenella, I'll pass it to you. They are going to share a presentation, and then at the right point, we're going to open it up to the crowd for questions. So be jotting your notes and questions down, and they will be ready to answer. So I'll turn it to you guys.
Thank you very much. Right, before I say anything, I'm going to try and share my screen. So that's a screen share. So I should be sharing it. Tell me if I'm not. Now, will my presentation come up? Yes. So I'll go to slideshow. Right, so you're seeing my screen, everybody. Yes. Well, firstly, thank you very much for those warm welcomes from both Doug and Meg, and it's great to be here. We've been a member of the Chamber for a while, and we're very excited to be here to show you this today. So this is called What's Your Purpose? And it's all about building a strong brand and how you can do that yourself in-house at a fraction of the cost. And we'll take you through that story. But we always think, because, and I think Doug alluded to this, there are so many different definitions of what a brand is, and when not everybody's on the same page. I'm going to do a little bit of the setup, just put it all in context, so what it is and why it's important. And then Chris will show you the exciting bit, our actual toolkit. So if you just bear with us a few minutes, I'll try not to be too long, but it's just the context really. And just to echo, to begin with, what's your purpose? Obviously, we have called our toolkit this for a very particular reason, because we believe it is the most important question you can ask your organization. What is the purpose of your organization? And that's true whether you're a startup or a blue chip, whether you're a not-for-profit or a for-profit. And purpose itself has a lot of different terms, and we're using it in the very collective sense here, because it's the name of it's not just about ethics. Well, I can tell you that, which I think some people do think it is, but for us, the reason we think it's so important is because we think it defines the very essence of your organization. It gives you the strategy, the feeling, that it crystallizes, it refines, it hones, it articulates what it is that your organization is trying to achieve, what kind of world you want to live in, and it's over and above the money. It's not just about the money. And then it also articulates what makes you different, what makes you special, how you stand out from your competitors. And all those things together, for us, are what constitute a brand. So in other words, what's your purpose is about defining your brand, because your brand is absolutely the heart and soul of your organization. Now, I'm going to go into what a brand isn't and what it is in a second, but I'll just leave you on that introductory note with Richard Branson. I know he's a bit long in the tooth now, but he was an intuitive marketeer. He really knew his stuff. And as he says, the way a company positions its brand, and that's a very important word, because brand is about positioning. You can call a brand definition a brand positioning, but it's all about how you wrap all that together. And ultimately, How well you do that and how well you follow that through, as he says here, decides whether your brand, your organization survives or thrives, which is the subtext of that. So if I just step back a bit, and we're just going to look now at what is a brand and how you create a strong brand. And then we're getting into the really exciting bit of our toolkit. So what is a brand? Well, it's not a logo. It's much more than a logo. And a lot of people talk about brand as though it is a logo. For us, the definition we really like is that a brand is a promise, and a promise that must be kept. And the world is littered with organizations who have, with brands that have thrived because they have kept their promises, and those who died who have not. And I know there's some in the States, but I'll give you a couple of examples. Badois, a few years ago, found that benzene or something was found in its water, and it's beautiful French, naturally pétillant water from the mountains in France. Obviously, absolutely undermined its brand promise to have extraneous and poisonous substances in it. So what they did, without a question, they recalled all their water, so that, and then reissued, tested everything, and put everything back out. They, obviously, there was a short-term financial hit, but they're a big brand. But their brand equity, so not only did it survive, it did better because everybody trusted it. It was living up to its promise. And there's another very famous example in Britain of a jeweler called Ratner, who had a chain of high street jewelry shops which sold real metal, silver and gold, at high street prices. So it was quite cheap, but it was genuine. Anyway, he was on the radio one day and was asked, it was his wife's birthday, and he was asked, are you going to be giving your wife something from your store for her birthday? And he replied, I wouldn't insult my wife with the tat I sell in my shop. That brand died. He had to leave the business. It had to be rebranded amongst another name because he absolutely abused the promise. So the promise that your brand offers is absolutely integral to your survival and how well your brand will do. And how people interpret that promise is through every touch point. So every interaction they have with your brand, whether that's online or it's packaging, or whether it's a commercial, or it's whether it's the receptionist or the person in the shop or the restaurant, they are all shaping the perception of your brand in somebody's mind. So it's really important that everybody understands, and every part of what you do reiterates that. And we look at a brand and we use the analogy of a tree. So we think a brand has two parts. So it has its brand definition, which fundamentally is the DNA of the brand. Like a tree, where you don't see the roots and they can go for miles underground, it stores the DNA and determines what a tree looks like, whether it'll be deciduous or coniferous, whether it'll have fruits or flowers, whether it's tall or short or fat or even upside down. And that's the same with the brand. The brand definition dictates how the brand must look, speak, and act, because otherwise there is a dissonance between the two and your brand won't be coherent. And as Meg, I'm sure will reiterate, any communication, by that I mean brand, needs to be clear, consistent, and compelling. And if you have a clear definition, that is what will happen. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. And we define it. This is our definition. Any brand consultancy you have will have their own, whether it's a key or an onion or a pyramid or whatever it is. They're all fundamentally trying to do the same thing, which is define what that brand story is about. So we have a vision, a mission, values, the proposition, which are the benefits, the bundle of benefits you offer, personality, which is the tone of voice. But for us also, we believe are very important, what we call reasons to believe. They're the substantiators, those things that underpin the reason you can say, this is the vision, this is what I'm trying to achieve, this is my mission, that's how we're going to get there, because we have these fundamental truths about our brand. And without those, your brand definition can be mere hyperbole. And it's so important because it is the blueprint. This brand definition is the blueprint for all your actions. It's not just your visual identity and your communications, but it's also internally. And I know some of you will be coming from small businesses, but you know, when you get staff, or if you have staff, how you recruit people, how you train them, your corporate culture, how they behave, all come from this brand definition, as well as, of course, your communications, your identity, your name, but also how you innovate, what products should be going, where should you be communicating. It just fundamentally should drive your whole business. We often put a brand plan or brand strategy alongside your business strategy, and they are totally connected, interconnected, and are as important as each other. And often the brand part is overlooked. And what you will get, if you do have this and you behave like this, you have a definition and you use it, it will give you your brand story narrative, however you want to say it, your marketing strategy. What should you be saying about? Where should you be positioning? Where should you be focusing your efforts? It will help you stand out against the competition, because it will give you the reasons that you are better than the competition and how you do things differently. Of course, it will also help you develop an emotional connection with your stakeholders. And we all know that a fundamentally important part of brand is the emotional aspect, because we purchase, we decide as much with our hearts as we do with our heads. And if you can develop that, which your brand will help you do, you will have stronger relationship with your stakeholders and your customers, and they will be more loyal. It helps you with your key messages. You know, what are the things you should be saying about your brand day in, day out, and you need them to be consistent, because otherwise you get chaos. And then, you know, I've talked about naming, identity, and comms briefs, websites, and videos, social media posts. All of that comes from your brand definition. And Forbes put it, you know, your brand is the single most important investment you can make in your business. And I think that is a very powerful quote and worth remembering when you're going about your daily business. So the question then is, so how do you create a strong brand like that? How do you get that definition right, especially when you're day to day in the midst of everything? Well, what a lot of people do is they hire brand consultants. Who have their own ways of doing things. They will look at what's going on in the world, the macro trends. They'll understand your core competencies, what you're good at, what you're not good at. They'll look at your competitive set, work out how you can stand out. They'll look at your stakeholders, not just your customers and potential customers, but, you know, in the industry, the opinion formers, etc. And there are a few of the kinds of questions they'll ask there. But they're not by no means a whole one, and they'll have their own system, you know, tried and tested approach. This is a classic 3.1 we use, where we do 360 analysis through talking to people, running groups and interviews and desk research and digging deep and site visits, depending on what we're doing. We then go away, analyze that, come up with some hypotheses, test those out, do a brand development workshop with big part of the team, so that they're all on board, agree that, and then we turn that into the creative briefs for messaging and the websites, etc. And it's a great way to do it. I mean, it really works, and it's what we do at House Brands as a consultancy. And as you can see, you know, these are some of the people we've worked with, and you can see from the bottom, we do it for startups right through SMEs, not-for-profits, blue chips, and whole countries. We work with several whole countries. And actually, the principles are the same. The complexity, the amount of work is the only thing that's different. But actually, what you need to do is the same. But of course, there's one snag. There's just what, and I'm sure you all know what it is. Everything was in the title, really. And that is the cost. Because it isn't cheap to have people who are very highly experienced and know what they're doing, crawling over your business. Yeah, it's lovely. They'll come, bounce ideas, help you. They'll define it for you. But it comes at a cost, because you have to pay people. So and you know, we've talked to lots of small businesses. There are some of the quotes, and they won't surprise you. It's the kind of thing we know. We've run a small business. You do as much as you can yourself, because you don't want to pay other people, and you try and beg, borrow, and steal what you can. But as House Brands, we like a challenge. We like to think, we were thinking, we've got all this experience on brand expertise. How can we make it accessible to people who don't have the money? Businesses like ours was right at the beginning. So we put our thinking caps on, and we went away and we wriggled and thought about the problem, and we came up with a solution. And it's a solution that, because today we can get access anywhere around the world 24/7, you know, with online technology, and we have all this great experience which we were used to using, we've put the two together, And we've come up with what's your purpose, which is you're going to see any second now. And it's making brand strategy accessible to everyone, even those, not just the big businesses who have the budgets for it, but even if you're a startup, you could do this yourself. And, you know, we explain it, even a one-person band can do this with them because they'll have the right questions in the right order. And this echoes what I showed you at the beginning, because this is what what's your purpose will deliver you your brand narrative, your marketing strategy, your whole briefs for all your communication and external work. So before, you can see a hint on the right, but I'm now going to stop. I've put the context in place. I'm actually going to stop sharing. You can ask me any questions, and then we're going to turn over to Chris, who has got it all ready so that we can show you. But we thought it might be an idea to, oh, now I can't, this meeting, I can't stop sharing. Yeah, here I am, I'm back. So thank you very much. That was my introduction, very fast, I know, but if you've got any questions, please ask them now. Otherwise, Chris will start with showing you our toolkit.
That was wonderful. Thank you. Any questions from the group before we bring Chris on? Questions about branding? Fenella, I think you answered everyone's questions.
Well, we'll see. I'm sure there'll be some in a minute.
5 stars. Okay, Chris, you're up, my friend. He's ready.
How do I do this?
There's a green button square at the bottom with an arrow in it.
Yeah, it says share. Yeah,
that's fairly obvious, isn't it? So
yeah.
Oops. So are we there?
We are there. I'm seeing the intro screen to the toolkit
with introduction.
Yes, yeah,
So we've gone through the front door. I wouldn't bother with all that sort of stuff, because gone straight into the sort of the back end of the actual toolkit itself. So this is what you receive when you get dived into one of these things. Obviously, this is just a brief introduction saying thank you very much. Welcome to the program. And we have a little short section, which again, essentially goes pretty much what Fenella was just talking about, where we talk about the various aspects of brand definition, and we introduce you to our brand definition model, as you can see here, which Fenella showed you during the PowerPoint, and we come through those various aspects, which is what we're going to be developing when we put together the brand definition, which is what this is all about. So we're going to be concentrating on the middle, and we're going to be looking at vision, mission, values, proposition, personality, and the reasons to believe, as Fenella said.
So it's very, very short outlines telling you why you need a brand and what you're going to do. This is what you're going to do, and how, and then at the end we show you how to use it. Yeah. So, and there are lots of examples in there as well. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So essentially, this is the background to where we're now going to take you. So we're going to come into the actual program itself, and in the program itself, it's as it says, it's 4 steps. We'll introduce you again to what we're going to be doing, and then we're going to be taking you through these various, basically these are the steps. So getting started, preparing the groundwork, creating your brand definition, review and finalization. So in step 1, it's a simple process where you will, in each of these steps, I would say each of these steps, we have a worksheet that you populate with your information, your experience, your knowledge. And in each one, so here is worksheet 1. In worksheet this is being pre-populated, okay, just for you. So this is actually a real case that was done by one of our clients. We have permission, of course, to share, and anyway, it's been denamed. So essentially, this is the process. So we ask you these questions: why are you doing this project? Why are you doing this in the first place? What are the main reasons? What are you aiming to achieve? With each of these, we always have little notes that are at your fingertips. So if you want to expand on any of the information, it's there at your fingertips to make it as easy as possible. Okay. So
this is really project management, just to help you set a deadline. You know, it's just good. You know what it's like, especially if you're doing something for yourself. You put it off and put it off unless you have a deadline. I'm going to do this by this day, and it gives you start points. So it's very simple, but it's just to get you organised.
Okay, and then we'll move on to step 2. So in step 2, we're going to be preparing the groundwork. So look, this isn't a magic wand. It's not all going to be done for you. You have to put effort into it. After all, it's your business. You know essentially all about your business. If you were engaged with us, or if we were engaged with you, we would say the first thing we say, you know your business, we know brand. So we would then work together. Okay, and but what we're trying to do is take you through those steps and guide you through those steps as if we were there, except that we're not. So again, background, why is this important? What you're going to need to do. We're going to be looking at capturing your strengths. We're going to be identifying your target audiences. We're going to defining your competition, and we're going to be talking about this is the activity that you're going to do, and at the end of it, you're going to have the outcome. Okay. Again, as before, we always have these little what do they mean about that? How do you? So we give you hints all the way through, hints and examples of what to think about and how to approach it, so that when you get to the worksheet, you can start populating it with all of your information. So here we're looking at your strengths. Again, same thing. Let's have a reminder of what we're talking about here. Here's the reminder of what we're talking about here. So we'll do those little things like, you know, what is the most important part? What are you most proud of? Little hints and tips along the way to help you through the process. So it's not completely kind of, oh my word, it's just a completely blank piece of paper. So with all of these, you will populate this as you go. So I can add more to it, you know, more here, etc., etc. So I can keep adding as I go or taking away. It's all fully editable. It's all completely yours. You're the only people who have access to it. It's all GDPR compliant, etc., etc., etc. Here we're talking, we here in this particular example, we don't want to list too many. So we're asking you, like, what are the 3 most important strengths? Don't try and agonize over having like tons of them. It's not worth it. Pointless exercise. And again, then we start talking about our target audiences. Who are your target audiences? And we'll be talking here again, like, okay, examples of, for example, you know, examples. So to think slightly out of the box for various aspects of it. Fenella's very keen on all of this. So, I mean, on the strategy side of it, I mean, one of the ones is like, I mean, if you're a florist,
That's in customers, and that's in competition.
Yeah, yeah. So what was I going to say there? Sorry. I mean, that's like, if you're a florist, it's like, who's your competition going to be? I mean, who are the people why are people buying flowers? It could be that it's for a birthday present, or it could be for somebody in hospital. So there's various aspects like that. Okay. So we're talking here, target audiences. Okay. And you can look, there's the competitors thing. With all of these, we can add another target audience if we want to, so we can keep building that list. As much as you put in, the more you put in, the more you're going to get out. And again, there we are with there's the competitors. There's the one with the florist, etc., etc.
And the point about the florist is that your competitors are not just other florists. They might be off licenses, there might be gift shops, there might be delis. It depends on the reason you're buying something. And I think the other point to say about this, like most good sort of consultancy projects, you go wide. You think of all your competitors, you think of all your target audiences, you think of all your strengths. But then in each place, we help you to hone them so that you're not over-faced by everything, and you are, because any strategy, you have to have focus. So you think broad and then you hone in, and that's exactly each one. It's like your 3 most important strengths, your 3 most important target audiences, your 3 most important competitors, looking at what they do well and what they don't do so well, and then you can pick out what we do better than them. So it's all about trying to focus your thinking in the right way. Sorry, Chris.
That's all right. I'm glad I was confusing my competitors with my customers. You're absolutely right.
It's quite easy.
Instead of thinking, what was I talking about? Anyway, okay, so look, step 2 is really where you're going to gather all of that information, which is going to be crucial in the next bit, which is where we're going to actually define we are now going to build that model. So you've done all this groundwork. The getting started bit was, like Fenella said, it's a bit of project management. It's like, it's just sort of basics. This step 2, this is where in a lot of ways, it's where you do all the work. The more you put into step 2, and the more you think about it, you and your team, right? If you are a small organization, ideally, you're going to have sort of more than just one person doing this. I mean, it's a great way of building team anyway, because it means that you can talk about your organization with them and you can start building a brand together. That becomes an incredibly powerful tool as an employee, relationships exercise. I mean, obviously, if you're a large organization, you can't involve everybody, but if you're a small organization and you can, definitely worth thinking about. Very, 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 very key. Think about your people at all times. If you can engage with them, and this is a great way to do it. Right, enough of that. So in step 3 is where we come into actually building the brand. So this is our brand definition, and this is what we're going to be doing. We go back to the model. Again, we're going to be talking about the various aspects from the brand definition model. So we're going to be talking about vision, mission, the values. We're going to be talking about the proposition, what makes you different, that personality, and again, the reasons to believe. Why can we say these things? What is it that we can say about this that means that we can own that space? And if we haven't got something in there, it might even be that we say, actually, we need to do this in order to be able to say that we can do that, if that makes any sense. So if there's a hole in your reasons to believe, you can address it. Okay. So vision, mission, and values, we take them as one, because often people do look at them as one entity, kind of vision, mission, values. They are separate, but in this particular examples, we have throughout these, we look at these as a trio. So here we have, this is what we're talking about. So again, reminding you now, we're saying, okay, so this is what it's all about. This is the vision, the mission, and values. These are the aspects of it. This is what we want you to think about, okay? With all of these, and we'll then give you examples from the real world. So these are real world examples from real world organizations, okay? This is actually what they do. These are theirs, okay? So these are their vision, their mission, their values, okay? In each and every single one of them. Again, we can't write it for you, but this will help you to think about how you can write it. And when you've been through these, come back to the worksheet. And in the worksheet, you will now populate that with your thinking. Again, take time. You can't rush it. I mean, it's not worth it. It's a kind of a really serious piece of work, right? We're trying to get, yeah, sorry, Fenella.
No, I was just going to say, and then the guidance notes and the examples are there because you don't have a brand consultant on your shoulder. So it's like doing that. It's showing you exactly what you need to do, when you need to do it, what questions to answer. So that's the point of it. And you know, doing the groundwork first really helps, but then this is all about giving you a tried and tested process that had worked with all the questions and all the help you need to do it yourself when you haven't got somebody there. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So essentially, we're going to I will quickly whiz through the rest of these fields, but essentially we're going to take the same process. So when we come to the proposition, again, what is it? Remind me, what were we talking about here? So we'll have a look. The guidance notes are there at our fingertips. These is what we're talking about. This is the essence of what you need to think about when you're going to be looking at your proposition. And again, same thing, we'll give you some real world examples. So these are some real world examples to get your creativity running, as it were. Okay, so we come back to the worksheet. And then back in the worksheet, we'll come through, we'll do the proposition, and we'll come to the personality. Same thing in personality, same process. Sorry if I'm boring everybody, but essentially same thing. Again, we'll give you personality start points, so you're not completely sort of like, oh my God, where do I start? Where do I start? It's all there, but I keep repeating, we can't do it for you. It's your effort that goes into it, which will make it that much stronger anyway at the end of the day. The more you put in, the more you get out. Come back to the worksheet, and the very last one we come to is the reasons to believe. Same thing, and we'll flick open. This is the last one. We come to here, same thing. This is what we're talking about. These are some examples to help you if you're struggling with kind of like, well, what do they actually mean by that? And when we've done the whole thing, we can now come through to we've now populated the whole of we populated the whole of we've got everything here now. So we've captured it as we go along. I should have said, right? As we say save, it automatically saves itself. But basically, you can keep it's a continuous process, so that you can change it whenever you want to. It'll always be updated with your latest information. And when you come through to the end, it comes through to the finished thing. And here we've got our draft. We call this as our draft brand definition, because we encourage you to put it away for a few days and then to come back to it. It's good practice to kind of like say, yeah, come back a week later or whatever, and then you can actually look at it again and kind of have a look. Did we really do that? Is that really the way we want to put it? But this is what you will have. So then we can go back to edit it, or we can go through to step 4. Now, step 4 is we put it away. You've come back to it. We're now just, in a sense, it's the same material now, but we're basically reminding you, we're asking you questions. Is this really the right one? Do you need to change that? Is there anything that you can do to improve? And so on and so forth. So you can come back to the worksheet. Worksheet 4 is essentially an updated version of worksheet 3. It's the same information now, because you're fine tuning it. And from this point onwards, again, same thing. You can have you've got your refined brand definition here. Same thing. This is where it'll be. It's all being captured now. Okay, whole thing is being captured, and that's the end of the process. So you've now got it. This is it. You can look at this. You can have this as you can obviously you can print these out at any time, but here you've got it all. So you can capture it, or you can capture all of that for yourselves, for your team, whatever. This is it's like Fenella said before, it's like your blueprint. It's the blueprint for everything. So that it means that this, in a sense, might seem a little bit daunting, but if you put the work in here, everything else is going to become so much easier. So that if you're, say, I don't know, if you're, again, your marketing, what's your marketing strategy? It'll help you to kind of pull out these key messages. It'll help you to pull out things like the strap line. It'll help you in so many different areas with that one kind of encapsulation of your DNA, of what you're all about. And then the very final thing is really just saying, and moving forwards, it's saying, okay, great, you've done it, fantastic. You can go back to it. And then we're just asking you here some leading questions, things to think about, things that now that you've got this, what are the sort of areas that you can look at? What can you do? What do you need to do to put it, to make things better all over, whether that's website, not necessarily a new website, maybe it's just copy, And anyway, there you go. That's it. So I shall stop sharing and come back to the room, so to speak.
So I think the point about it is to make something which people don't do every day simpler for them and more accessible. So although, yes, you do have to put a bit of work in, a bit of thinking, but the structure is there, and you have all the right questions to ask. So you just got to put the answers in. As Chris says, we can't do that for you, but we can show you exactly what questions to ask and how you need to answer them. And I think that's the real purpose of it, that you can get something which you would ordinarily pay thousands for a couple of hundred, basically. So it's very, very different price. But anyway, we're open to questions, if anybody's got any.
I'm going to open the floor for questions. I'll give everyone a second to think about, questions for either of you. Please feel free to raise your hand if you have a question, or drop it in the chat. We will keep an eye out there. Fenella and Chris, if somebody's like, I need this right now, what's the fastest way to, like, can you drop the link to buy it in our chat so that everyone at least has it there as a resource? Can one of y'all do that?
Yeah, we can do that, but what we were going to make a basically we've got an idea of kind of giving a discount to people, but at the same time on the back of this. So what we were going to suggest was if people just drop us a line, right?
Sure.
Then we can give them a discount code. And also the other thing is we'd be very, very happy on an individual basis to show them again before they purchase. Just to kind of go through, just a belt and braces thing, really, if they want.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can buy it straight from the website otherwise, and we haven't done the discount code yet. That's all we need.
Well, you're so kind to offer a Global Chamber discount code. That's so nice. I will say I do this work. I have done this work for clients. I have hired people to do this work. And like Fenella said, this can cost thousands of dollars. It can take a lot of time. It is emotional. It challenges every part of your being. And what Fenella and Chris have put together is incredible, that they have made it so accessible and affordable. So I just want to say, having been part of this process, when they showed it to me a couple of months ago, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a game changer, especially if you're kind of trying to figure out these pieces and you're working on a budget as well. So I just want to say that what they've done, I don't see this very often. So I appreciate that. I have questions, but I'm just going to scroll through here. If anyone has a question, I'm going to check the chat real quick. If anyone has a question, please raise your hand or feel free to just interrupt me right now.
How does one reach the Chris and Fenella? How do we reach them?
How do we reach Chris and Fenella? Do y'all want to put your emails in the chat?
Well, shall I do that, or are you going to do it, Chris?
No, you can do it, Fenella.
I'll type it up. Okay, I'm sorry. I should have had something ready, shouldn't I? Oh.
Good question. All right. They will put email addresses in the chat, so keep an eye out there to get in touch with them. Any other questions? Otherwise, I have questions. I've been taking notes and I have questions. Okay, it looks like a question. It's from Global Chamber HQ. What happens after filling in the information? How can people decide what to do and how to do it?
Do you want me to hang on? I will go back to my typing. Where are you? Well, I've lost everybody. I hate it when I can't see people. Here we go.
So Fenella, the question I just read is in the chat.
What happens after filling in? How can people decide? Well, there are several ways. In the actual toolkit, Chris showed you the last page, but he didn't actually go down. There's another level which takes you through communications, website, and gives you some questions you need to ask and say, look, you've done your brand definition. Now you need to measure, evaluate what you're doing against it, and you can do that yourself. The other way is, of course, we can do a workshop with you afterwards, or whatever you want, a meeting or an analysis meeting, which we can do with you and help you to decide what you need to do. We could do some analysis on your communications, on your website, on your identity, whatever you do, and we can come up with that. But there are a list of questions in the back which will help you decide. But I understand that that is probably quite a big leap for people. One day we will write the second part, but it's harder to do because there are so many different businesses at different stages. So we give you guidance, but that is somewhere probably you might want a little bit of extra judgment, or you can do it yourself. And there are other questions you want there. Oh, thanks, Chris. I was just about to do that. Does that make sense to people?
That makes sense. That makes sense. Global Chamber London is coming in hot with another question. What are some success stories for using this process?
Well, actually, one very early success story was with the NHS, which, as you know, we Brits love, and it's very dear to our heart, but has a lot of problems. And one of our clients was an NHS foundation, and they were struggling quite a lot with morale, and they used the toolkit. And what you would do as a consultant in the bit where you're filling in the brand, the vision, mission, value, the key part, you often do that as a workshop. So you get people from the client in, the consultants lead it, and you get the key members in, and then and then you have to go away as a consultant and just finesse it. But it gets people on board, it gets people engaged, and you can do that with this yourself. You can run a workshop around the step 3, the brand definition, and they did that. And they said it was amazing how it helped them improve their morale so much at a time when they were going through a terrible time, because it got people away from the wards, away from the stresses of their everyday job, and in a controlled and positive way, help them to discuss everything. So certainly in terms of internal stakeholders, that's good. We also have used it with a lot of small businesses. We work with the Manchester Growth Hub. So that's a Quango, sort of, it has a bit of government money in it, and it's to help businesses in different areas of the country. And we've run a few programs with them where we've used the toolkit, and they've got their SMEs and their startups in, and we take them through how to use it, and then they use it, and then they go away and do, their businesses start building. So there are quite a few examples where it has worked well in surprising ways sometimes.
There's another question in the chat here, Fenella. How was your experience working with J.A.?
Oh, we love J.A. Garner. We love Abeku. We've worked well with him. We weren't working on this toolkit with
Ruby.
Hi, Ruby.
Hello,
yeah.
Ruby.
We weren't working with J.A. Garner on this toolkit. We have, and I didn't want to muddy the waters, but we have another one, and I know Cesar knows this one, a personal branding one, which is for individuals, which is called Why Me? And we were using Why Me with J.A. Garner, and we had some quite good success stories, though, funding became an issue, but we were still trying to work out how to manage that, because obviously there isn't, even though it's very cheap from a Western perspective for, people, young students in Ghana, it wasn't so. But anyway, it worked well where we got it working, and it was great working with J.A. Garner, Ruby, and it's lovely to see you, though I can't see you, but know that you're here.
Thank you for the question, Ruby. I have some questions here. I'm curious, is this work that you would suggest doing together as a team? Like, do you open it up and you're like, let's all look at the questions together? Or would you recommend having individual team members fill it out in their own worlds and then kind of come together? Like, has there been a process that has worked better to create?
It depends on the company and the organization, I think. But I think overall, you can get people, the stage 2, the groundwork, you can get people to look at individually. So just think about who your competitors are, who your target audience, then come together. I think, or you can put stage 2 and stage 3 together and run them as a workshop. But I think often for people who haven't done it before, it's probably best to have a bit of thinking beforehand and then run the stage 3 where you're just trying to fill it all in together as a workshop to get people on board there, having done a bit of thinking. And that's how we've seen it work best. Then somebody has to take points and be the one who will go out afterwards and say, yes, I'm signing this off, or no, I think this needs to, because you often have to finesse a little bit afterwards in stage 4. But I think it's stage 3 where it's probably really good to get everybody together. Or not everybody, depends on the size of your organization, but representatives. And as you will probably know, Meg, in any brand consultancy project, you would often pick off the people who are least supportive in those occasions, because then they turn into advocates and they get engaged. If you just have the people who support you all the time, you don't get the right result and you don't get engagement. And what you really need, brands without engagement fail. And it's just true.
So that I was kind of curious, like where or how would you coach someone in factoring in the voice of the customer or the client? Like, would you recommend having clients not fill out this for a brand? No, I'm not suggesting that, but how do you make sure you capture the voice of the consumer in this too?
Well, it depends. The one you've seen is very much aimed at SMEs and startups. We've got several. We've actually got another one which is much bigger, and we use that for slightly bigger organizations. And in that, it shows you how to do research with your customers, with your,
Cool.
you know, it even stamps out a research, because I'm a full member of the Market Research Society, so research and insights very close to my heart. It shows you how to run the workshop. But this one is a much simpler one, which is aimed at SMEs and smaller organizations, really startups. So
Yeah.
you go from a one-person band, but you know, a company of about 50 people could use it, but you just wouldn't get everyone else in the room. And in those situations, you probably need in the workshop phase to have somebody who has a consumer-facing hat on, whether that's head of marketing or head of sales or whatever, however you do it, so that you actually represent those within the workshop.
How often, I know this comes up with some of my clients, sometimes they're like, well, we wrote all of our stuff 10 years ago, and therefore it's written in stone. And we know that that's not true. We know brands evolve and change. How often do you recommend brands take a look at these pieces? You know, is it every 2 years, every 5 years, when things are rough?
I think it's how long is a piece of string? It really depends what's happening. But you know, you'd say probably you don't want to be fiddling with it every few months, do you? So you want to put it up there and probably leave it for 3 or 4 years. Then you might start thinking about it. But if you're going gung ho and you're too busy, leave it for 5. But probably somewhere between 3 and 5 years is probably where you'd want to do it. But it's how long is a piece of string to a certain extent.
Yeah. Okay. Fun question. What's the most fun response to see users respond to? Like, what are the answers that you're like, I can't wait to see what they said about these questions?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a really interesting question. We
don't
don't go through what everybody does because because of GDPR, we don't usually. That's why we have permission from this one. It's yours. It is kind of, we don't go and check what people say because we don't think that's right. It's only if we do a workshop with them or a follow-up that we would know that.
Yeah.
So, you know, so that's sort of.
So when you're running a workshop, what's the most fun thing to talk to companies about when it comes to their brand? Like, what's the best conversation among people?
I think it's hard to say because, you know, even very boring questions can be very interesting when you're doing them. I think often what's interesting if you get them to think about what they want to be like in 5 years' time, you know, how they want to be, what the headline of the FT or Marketing Week or the local paper might say in 5 years' time, you know, those kind of things, because then it covers who they are and what they're really about.
From my personal point of view would be, I find I think it's the vision thing that's the probably in many ways the most challenging, but it's also very interesting, because if people really look at it and thinking about it over and above money, forget the money. It's like, what would they like their legacy to be? You know, and that can change everything. And I think that's quite interesting to sort of to hear what people have to say about that.
Yeah.
You know, how you're going to get there is kind of second. It's the bigger picture. What do you want to be remembered for? How do you want to be known?
Yeah. If someone does fill this out and, you know, maybe they haven't purchased a workshop concept, but they want feedback, it sounds like they can fill it out and still work with you to figure out if they're on the right track. Because I think if someone's new to this work, they're probably going to be like, am I on the right track? It sounds like you're available for.
We do. We'll do all sorts of packages. So, I mean, if people are kind of interested in doing it and then having extra help, we offer that extra help. But because you've done it, it's like you kind of, your leaps and bounds down the tracks already. We did a rebrand of a not-for-profit organization quite recently, and they went through the whole process before then, involving us in actually developing everything around it and helping them to completely fine tune it. And Fenella ran a series of workshops and did a series of interviews, etc., and stakeholder engagement programs, and so on and so forth. So added on to the benefit that they really got out of it was that they'd already been through a series of, they'd already put themselves through that thought process. So that again, they were kind of they hit the ground running, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Before we close out, any final thoughts from either of you, both of you?
Of us or the no, we'd just love to hear from anybody. Do get in touch if you'd like to know more, and we're very happy to offer a discount, to do more demonstration, or to talk about packages, because we understand that you know, it's, although everything is there and you can do that, what do you do next can be a bit tricky, you know. So yeah, we're very flexible. We've developed this ourselves, we own it, you know, we can do with it as we like. So we're you know, we're open to any conversation, really.
Awesome.
Yeah, or if there's anybody, I saw somebody in the chat, there was somebody, a doctor of startups, pivots. I mean, I was going to say, if there's anybody who's got kind of an interest in not necessarily using this for them, but using it for their clients or the people that they're helping. Because certainly for startups, what we found with Fenella mentioned when we did the work with the Growth Hub in Manchester, with startups, that definitely came across as a very a great positive for them. It was fantastic to get them thinking about it, because ideally you do this work before you even started thinking about designing a logo, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I really do feel like this is foundational work before rebrands, before first brands. Like, I think the answers to these questions are really foundational.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Meg, it never happens, but ideally that's what would happen. But the truth is, it very, very well, I say it never happens, very rarely happens. But then what people do tend to find is that, you know, I don't know, 4 or 5 years down the tracks, and they've got through all the initial hurdles and all the rest of it, they start sort of thinking, oh, right, well, we better be a bit more grown up about it now.
Yeah.
So that's a kind of, that's a sort of, that tends to be the journey.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is true. A lot of times you see a logo and all these other things, and it's like, I wish we had done this stuff first. So I'm a big fan of doing this work first.
Yeah, but you know as well as we, you know, it's never too late.
It's never too late. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you have to tear, and it doesn't mean you have to tear everything up, because that would be nonsensical. 99, I would say 9 times out of 10, you know, well, 99 times out of 100, you're not going to do that. You're actually going to evolve. It's not revolution, it's evolution.
Yeah. And really, this is a great time of year too, to kind of start thinking about things, certainly before the holidays, before the beginning of the year. Like, if you're in that kind of storming and forming stage, this is actually a really nice time of year to do that work. Thank you, Chris and Fenella, for being here. You're both fantastic. I love the toolkits. I think they're incredibly helpful, and I think they can do some serious good out there. So thank you for showcasing them today with our Global Chamber friends. Both of their email addresses are in the chat, so please reach out to them personally. And then we'll see you all again next month, the second Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll see you all next month. But thank you, Chris and Fenella, for being here.
Thank you so much for allowing us to be here. It was great to see everyone, and thank you. And have a lovely weekend, everyone.
Awesome. Yes. Okay. Have a good Friday and a good weekend. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.